This card don't read so good. Wake up. This card in the set. What the hell is this? Best in show. All right, what's up, my friends? Welcome to the complete set review for Final Fantasy. Every single card. Going over all of them. We did white, blue, black, red, green, and multicolor. They're all on YouTube. Check them out. Like, comment, subscribe. I said on YouTube, all right? Come on, support the content. A lot of work goes into these. Your support makes that possible, so please check them out. Make sure you leave a comment on all of them, leave a like on all of them, and don't be shy, all right? So, we're into our colorless section. We're going over all the cards, constructed and limited, giving out all the awards you know and love. You get the idea. You know what's going on, folks. So, real fast reminder, of course, 10 New Brews is tomorrow, live on stream, Wednesday, June 4th, 2 p.m. And if you're on YouTube, those videos will go up one a day for the 10 days after this day. That's what's going on there. And we got Bronze Mythic happening a little bit later than usual, Sunday, June 15th. I am flying out to LA on Saturday for a week to help with some consulting work for Riftbound, their new card game, which is kind of cool. So that's sweet. Let's get started. First card here is Smuggler's Copter. Oh, sorry, wrong. I meant Adventurer's Airship.
I am disgusted.
3 mana for a 3/2 flying vehicle. Whenever it attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. Crew 2. So a little worse than Smuggler's Copter. That being said, this card feels like okay. I mean, looting is certainly good in some of the archetypes. Green black wants to put cards in the graveyard. Black blue has flashback cards. Blue white wants artifacts for synergy and stuff like that too. So I can see this card being okay in those spots. I think on base level rate, it's not quite good enough. But I think if you're getting a little extra from it being an artifact or putting cards in the graveyard, so on and so forth, then it could be okay. This being a common is a pretty good sign. This card's probably not that good. If it was an uncommon, I'd be a little more like, maybe that they wanted to keep this card at, a little less than common, I guess. But yeah, so I think it's mostly a filler limited card, not very exciting. Probably won't make it like most of the time, but maybe if you're synergizing with it, you can find a use for it. From common to mythic, Aettir and priwen. 6 mana for a legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has base power and toughness XX, where X is your life total. Sarah Avatar, anyone?
Pointless nostalgia.
No? No Sarah Avatar is? I'll see myself out. I'll see you later. So, equipment cost is 5 here. This is your classic, hyper expensive, fun, casual commander card. 6 mana is an absurd amount for an equipment, as is 5 to equip. Even if you could equip it for free, the upfront cost of 6 is just like so much that this is not really a playable competitive card in any way. This is more of a fun casual card. And then in limited, the problem is you take so many hits trying to set this up. You might be at like 5 by the time it's time to use this, which isn't even that good too. So I think this card's pretty sketchy. Just a fun, silly, Timmy card and not much else. Blitzball. Demand for an artifact. Not just any artifact. It's our freaking Bombin Common. Goal! Lo. I don't know what Blitzball is, but if you score a goal, you get to do some cool stuff. Demand for a mana rock. It taps for mana of any color. Then it has goal. Tap and sacrifice this to draw 2 cards. Only if an opponent was hit by a legendary creature. There are a ton of legendaries in this set. So I don't think that is a difficult goal to achieve. And getting a double Mind Stone off of your mana rock is pretty great. And we've seen these mana rocks really helping to facilitate multicolor decks in the format. There are a ton of multicolor legends in this set. So being able to splash those, have a good mana base, yada, 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 is pretty cool. This is definitely not a high pick in that regard. There only are so many commons in this section, so something has to win. But I think this card will help archetypes in a good way. And yeah, just a cool little limited mana fixer. And then, ideally you're splashing a bunch of legends, therefore you can trigger it and draw some cards. Cool stuff. Buster Sword. I'm going to give this my sleeper award. I think this card might be kind of good, given all of the equipment stuff happening in the set. The mana for an artifact. Equips for 2. Possibly +2. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the damage without paying its mana cost. So draw a card, play a thing for free is a pretty damn good ability. And there are a number of, like free equips or reduced cost of equipments, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, every red card, the entire set, cares about equipment, which is a lot. And there already are a lot of cards in standard that care about equipment too. So, it's probably the best, like, expensive amount of equipment. There's still like 2 swords in standard, I think. Only one's really good. It double triggers on if it's on Cloud, which is cool. It can be a 1-up with Cloud. Cloud can go search for it. So I think this card's pretty cool. Operates in the sort of like Sword of Fire and Ice space, where Sword of Fire and Ice is probably better, but that card's actually really good. So yeah, definitely a cool card. Bonkers limited card. Constructed, I think it has a sleeper potential. I think the equipment deck might actually be good this time, but I could definitely be wrong.
Still a piece of garbage.
But yeah, that's why it's a sleeper award. I'm not sure, but I think it's got potential. So there you go. Sleeper award for Buster Sword, and then of course, Bonkers and limited. Yeah, I know it's Cloud Swords in the pictures. I get it. I'm not an idiot.
I regret the thing I did.
Moving on to Elixir. 1 mana for an artifact. Note, this is not of immortality, just a regular elixir. Enters tapped, which is a big issue. 5 mana tap this, exile this artifact, shuffle all non-land cards from your graveyard into your library, and you gain life equal to the number of cards shuffled into your library this way. Elixir Immortality was a win condition in control decks that had no win conditions. It was like 1 mana to play, 2 to activate, gain 5. Did come in untapped. This thing is like, pretty expensive. 1 mana comes in tapped, can't use it immediately. But this could, in theory, shuffle a bunch of cards back in, gain 15 life. Probably not good enough for anything, really, though. Like, it's just too expensive and clunky, but it's cute. Excalibur! 1 mana for a legendary sword. Why is Excalibur legendary, but the Buster Sword is not? Are there just like tons of Buster Swords laying around? Is that? I don't know. I'm asking you. But Excalibur II, 1 mana for a legendary artifact, has the Ajani Pridemate tech. So gain life, put a counter on this. Equip for 3, and then whenever it's equipped, creature gets +1 for each counter on Excalibur. Kind of a weird card, right? Like Ajani's Pridemate is already kind of and this is just very expensive to equip. Very expensive to equip. Come on, Jim. Pull it together, man. If this thing costs 3 and equip for 1, I guess it'd be harder to put counters on it then. But yeah, I think this card's just kind of requires a lot of different work to be good. Maybe it's a 1-up in like a life gain deck or something like that. But And then in limited, there just isn't enough life gain to go around. So, I don't know. For all the pomp and circumstance here, this card just seems kind of meh. Genji Glove, 5 mana for an equipment. Gives creature double strike. Whenever it attacks, if it's the first combat phase of a turn, untap it. Extra combat stuff. So double attacks, but very, very expensive. If there was some like cheap way to put this in, unfortunately the Godo creature, it's already attacking, not whenever it attacks, which is a little sketchy. But yeah, another just like really expensive kind of Timmy card that doesn't seem very good. Not great constructed. Not a great limited, honestly. Just kind of meh. Instant Ramen. Immersion broken. Cup of Noodles. Secret Lair. Coming soon. 2 mana for an artifact food flash. EDB draw card. It's a food. I don't know what deck would want this card. I mean, if you are in for as far as draft decks go, this is a fine little fodder thing. Play it, sack it to a black-white, whatever kind of thing. But otherwise, just like you can play it. It's 2 mana draw card, get some food. But yeah, it's also instant. Yeah, it's hilarious. I understand. It's not very funny. It's what it is. So yeah, whatever. Just finicky little mana little artifact. The Iron Giant.
Good lord. Gigantism.
Not Not very good.
Waka waka.
7 mana for a 6/6 Vigilance Reach Trample is not very good these days. Also, not a giant. What the hell is going on with that? Huh? What? Huh?
I bet you weren't expecting that one, God.
It's weird. Why not Demon Giant? But yeah, I mean, in limited, if you are desperate for a win condition, this card will serve for you. But 7 mana for a 6/6 is not the most exciting. So mostly just desperation. If you need a win condition, go from there. Lionheart, 4 mana for an equipment artifact. ETB, deal 2 to any target, and then +2/+1, equip for 2. Not very good. 4 mana for 2 damage is pretty damn bad, and the equipment's pretty damn bad too. So I think this card just way below rate on basically all fronts, and probably will never make your deck. But if your opponent has a lot of things that it kills, sure, but it's pretty bad. Lunatic Pandora, the very, very bizarre common legendary. I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. 1 mana for a legendary artifact, 2 mana surveil 1, and then 6 mana to sacrifice this to destroy target non-land permanent. That's really weird. We see this sort of like crappy artifact in a lot of sets, just like generic removal. It's very expensive. I don't know why it's legendary. Does that like matter for anything? I don't think so. But yeah, this card's pretty bad. 6 mana to kill thing's pretty bad. Surveilling's pretty bad also. Just not a very good card. That's probably not be in your deck. I guess if you're like a graveyard deck and you want to surveil, sure, but seems pretty meh. A magic pot. It's a goblin. I guess it's sure it is a goblin technically. 2 mana for a 1/4. When it dies, make a treasure, and you can tap it to exile a card from a graveyard. I guess like if you're black-white, you want more sacrifice fodder. But this does 2 things, I suppose, but seems pretty bad. The Masamu.
You're saying it wrong.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
3 mana for an equipment. As long as the equipped creature is attacking, it has first strike and must be blocked if able. Equipped creature has, if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of this creature or an emblem, hint, works with Sephiroth to trigger. That ability triggers in addition time. So, yeah, I guess. The problem is like when you have a bunch of swords that cost 3 to play and 2 to equip, and they're all colorless, you just play the best one and the other ones that don't get played. First strike, it must be blocked is kind of cute, like for limited. It is pretty hard to beat that, but in constructive, it's like not a viable thing. So I think this card's pretty sketchy. Good limited card for sure, but yeah. Monk's Fist, pow. 2 mana common equipment with job select.
Seems to me that what you folks need is a hero.
So it's a 2/1 for 2 equipment. This is kind of like a decent bread and butter kind of card where if I am playing Boros artifacts or Boros equipment or Azorius artifacts, this card synergizes pretty well. Equip cost is kind of cheap. It's 2/1 for 2. Could do worse than that. So, not particularly powerful, but this is I would say a reasonable card if these synergies matter for you, if you need a 2-drop. Poo Poo UFO. Again, more freaking aliens. 2 mana for an 0/4 flyer. Tap, put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. 3 mana until end of turn. This creature's base power becomes equal to the number of towns you control. I actually like this card a lot, despite that I'm horrified of it. 0/4 flyer for 2 is a pretty good stat line. That blocks pretty well. And then tap to put a land in is also pretty good. There is a bounce land in standard, very, very important to note. So bounce land is great. And then the fact that it's a win condition later too is good as well. This card's awesome, honestly. Big fan of this card. Don't think you want to play 4 of them because there are pretty major diminishing returns. But like 2 or 3 in like a rampy deck seems pretty cool. Land comes in untapped too. So again, the problem with the card with exploration effects like this is that you often run out of lands and nothing to do with it. But again, the bounce land being legal is really, really cool. So So yeah, this card's really, really cool. And then a great limited card too, if you're a town deck. Harder to utilize put a land in because you're not going to have as many cards. But yeah, this card's great. Big fan of this card. Great stat line. The Regalia. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Going for a drive in my Final Fantasy game. That's how Final Fantasy works, right? As an outsider, I can only assume. 4 mana for a 4/4 haste vehicle. Whenever it attacks, you reveal cards top of your library until you reveal a land card. Put it on the battlefield tapped, rest on the bottom in a random order, crew 1. Weird card because it is pretty powerful, you know. It is very easy to crew, and it attacks, gets a land. That's nice. If you want this kind of effect, we already have Lumbering Whirlwagon, which does the job a lot better. Requiring a creature in your rampy deck is not great, and if you're not caring about lands, just like play a different threat. So very weird card. It is definitely going to be good and limited, and it is probably not there constructed. There's better ways to do things. The things this thing is doing, but yeah, I don't know. More of a limited card than anything else. Good limited though. Relentless X-ATM092. 6 mana for a 6/5 uncommon robot spider. Damn.
We have technology.
Can't be blocked except by 3 or more creatures. And it has 8 mana. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped with a finality counter on it. This card's a house. Man. In limited, this card really, really bangs. So very, very hard to block. It blocks fine as well. You can just trade with it and get it back later. This card's good. Good draft card. Really, really good limited card. Good if you're in the market for a finisher. You know, if you're playing Boros aggro, don't play this card. But if you're in the market for a big dumb finisher, this card does it phenomenally. Really cool. Troll Khazad-dûm-esque.
Fool of a took.
Ring of the Luigi. 4 mana for a it's a me, Luigi. 4 mana for a legendary artifact. Taps for 2, so a soul ring. And then you can pay 2, tap it, pay 1 life, and tap target non-land permanents. This is Icy Manipulator, as well as Sisei's Ring. It is legendary, which is kind of awkward because you can't play multiples. But this is a good limited card if you're ramping into big stuff, and then if you are, got that Icy going on. Constructed, I think that we already have Hedron Archive, right? Legal in Standard, so maybe this is like the 5th Hedron Archive because it does tap things as well. So I would say, fringe chance at constructed. Fine limited card in Artifact Rampy deck, but summon Bahamut. 9 mana for a Saga creature. 9/9 flyer. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, destroy target non-land permanent. Very, very good. Chapter 3, draw 2 cards. Awesome. Chapter 4, Mega Flare. This creature deals damage equal to the total mana value of other permanents you control to each opponent. So probably kill them. And this thing can attack twice, kill 2 things, and draw 2 cards. Pretty insane. A awesome card to reanimate if you are doing the reanimation thing. It is an enchantment. But is it better than the other big colorless cards? Ugin costs 7. This costs 9. Maybe if there's some sort of like crazy colorless ramp deck, but probably not. Probably more so a card you want to reanimate, and there are various means to do so. In limited, I think if you're a big rampy deck, this is obviously a card that you just, if you cast it, you win the game, but it is 9 mana, so that is a lot. So, really powerful card. Honestly, not that hard to evaluate. It's just like an obscenely powerful 9-drop. You'll know if your deck can cast it, if it's on plan for your deck, and you can kind of go from there. It's not legendary. Yeah, that is true. Ultima. Origin of Oblivion. Ooh. Not the sound effect I was looking for, but sure. Oblivion. 5 mana for a 4/4 flyer. It's a god. Whenever Ultima attacks, put a blight counter on target land. And for as long as that land has a blight counter on it, it loses all land types and abilities and is tapped for 1 colorless. If you tap a land for colorless, add an additional colorless. So, kind of like the ability of, I don't know what that card is. It's an artifact, but that makes all of your colorless tapping doubled. This is only lands, which is important to note. Forsaken Monument, thank you. So that was a very powerful card because all your mana rock doubled as well. This only doubles your lands, but it's a pretty powerful effect. 4/4 flyer for 5. I'd want some way to make a lot of colorless mana to make this card really exciting. But, it's probably not good enough for constructed. Really good limited card. But, yeah, not an Eldrazi notably, so no Eldrazi Temple. But, yeah, it's cool. World Map. World Mana Artifacts. Pay 1 sack, get a basic. Pay 3 sack, get any land you want. A mixture between Expedition Map and, usual common fixer. Love it. Great design. Big fan. Good limited fixer. Bit of a proxy for Expedition Map and Constructed. Probably won't see too much play, but just a very elegant, clean card. Big fan. Good flavor. All about it. Adventurers Inn. Also a big fan of this card. I've played a lot of Radiant Fountains in my day. Played Blue White Control back in my day with 4 mana Radiant Fountains. That was a big deal. All that extra life gain, really, really nice. And then if there is some sort of town deck, this card's great. I think that also the bounce land plays well with these town cards, and then bouncing those things really cool too. So yeah, I think this card's pretty awesome if you are doing town things. If you are not doing town things, a little less exciting. I want my limited mana base to be pretty damn good before I play this. But yeah, big fan. This card has a role to fill, and it's also just a cool, flavorful card. Good stuff. Balam Garden Seed Academy. So here we have the big town land payoff. So I guess, of course, town's a subtype. We've seen this a bunch before, right? Gates, deserts, whatever. Just caring about certain types of lands. Kind of catch them all kind of thing. We saw there was a blue spell, blue 5, draw 4 cards, affinity for towns, and a few more things. So noting what towns are what is pretty important, and this is a pretty cool one. So this is a town dual land. It's blue or green. Blue-green is the town's color. It also has 5 mana tap transform, affinity for towns. Turns into a really weird vehicle, 5/4 flyer, attack, draw card, crew 1, which is pretty good, honestly. But ramp decks don't often have 1/1s just laying around, so kind of a weird thing to turn into. But just a blue-green town dual land is fine, with a bit of upside. So yeah, cool card. In limited, seems great. In limited, this card's not so. It's so easy to crew and very, very good. But in constructed, it's probably fine. Probably fine. Capital City, another town. There's just town versions of our usual dual lands in limited. This is your grotto land. Instead of having Surveil, it's got cycling, which is totally fine. A fine limited mana fixture, fine for your town deck, etc., etc. Clive's Hideaway, a rare town with Hideaway, fittingly. Look at top 4, choose 1, put it exile face down. Tap for a colorless. Pay 2, and says you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you control 4 or more legendary creatures. Which is honestly not that hard to do in this set. There are a lot of legends, but it is a colorless land in most legendary decks are going to be very multicolored. But there are enough legends now where maybe you could build a monocolored or a 2-color legendary deck. Very, very powerful effect if that is the case. I don't know when they changed Hideaway to not have ETB tapped as part of the Hideaway ability. That was originally part of it back in Lorwyn. Kind of a weird errata, but whatever, I guess. That's sure. That's why the 2/1 from Modern Horizons enters tapped. That has Hideaway. Just a weird thing to change because it's a keyword, but I have no idea. Whatever. But yeah, definitely a card that has a very high ceiling despite being difficult to use. Crossroads Village. Limited mana fixer. Choose a color. We've seen this card all the time. It's a good draft common land. It's town. Kind of nice. Helps your splashes, which is cool. Eden, Seat of the Sanctum. Town, colorless land. Pay 5, tap, mill 2 cards, then maybe sacrifice this land. And when you do, return another target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So it can be a regrowth thing. Very expensive, but kind of just the one of that you, hey, we're flooded super hard. Let me get my thing back, but that's not very exciting. We got the Gold Saucer. Colorless town, pay 2, flip a coin. You win the flip, make a treasure. And then 3 mana, sacrifice 2 artifacts, draw a card. I mean, If it didn't flip a coin, it would be insane. But I don't know, how lucky are you kind of thing. Under the Colorless land, sacrifice 2 artifacts and draw a card is not a great line of text. You need to have a lot of artifacts in play, so this card's probably mostly just meh. But starting down, folks, holy shit. Best card in the set, starting town. Card's unbelievable. We have a big rotation coming. We're going to lose the pain lands. We're going to lose half the fast lands. Mana's going to change. This card is incredible. This card is a mana confluence that has the all-important ability to tap for colorless without pain. So that's huge. This is honestly more so just mega pain land, right? Where if you're just playing Boros, it's a Battlefield Forge a lot of the time. If you're a 3-color deck, incredible. And has the fast land text, sort of. It's a little worse and better at times. It's better if you're ramping, worse if you are stuck on lands for a few turns. So you miss third land drop, draw this on turn 4. It's going to come in tap, whereas a fast land wouldn't. So slightly different templating, but this card's unbelievable. Going to be so important for any aggressive deck in Standard. The ability to have untapped dual lands for your aggro decks is so important. And with pain lands and fast lands leaving, that leaves a monstrous gap for this card to fill, which it does very, very well. Card's awesome. Really, really powerful card. Definitely facilitates multicolor decks as well. Agree that the templating of first, second, and third turns is a little bit awkward if players are like mulliganing missing land drops. You can kind of be like, wait, is this turn 3? So I kind of like the fast land templating a little better, honestly. But whatever. It's not that hard to figure out. So card's insane. Probably the best card in the set. Definitely get a playset of these. You'll be playing him in Standard for the next, 3 years or whatever, however long legal. And then might see some play in Pioneer also. But yeah, bonkers land. Really, really good. Really, really flexible. And it's also a talent for all your town stuff, too. Then we come to our tap duels. So these are all named places that aren't legendary, which is like they decided was cool recently. So these are your tap duels for limited. They are towns, of course. For some decks that you won't care if they're towns. But if you are a deck that does, then that's great. So the blue-green, the red-green, the green-based ones are probably going to be the ones that are more desirable for your multicolor green deck. That's also your town deck. But yeah, nothing too crazy here. We've seen tap snow duels, tap deserts, tap gates, so about, how valuable these lands can be. And there's one for every color. Do we know what the drop rate is on these, Mike? Is there one of these in every pack, or is there usually sometimes there'll be a dual land in every pack. Sometimes it'll be half the packs. And what that drop rate is very important for knowing how common they are. Looks like about half the packs will have one of these. So pretty important. Doesn't really feel like a multicolor set, but there are a lot of multicolor legends. So there's a draw there. But yeah, these are obviously very important and even more important if you're doing town stuff. And then we have our 5 adventure lands. So new thing here. These are very similar to MDFCs, the flip cards, where they're a land. They're either a bad land or a bad spell, but like you get the modality of both. These are all tap lands. Tap for one of each of the colors. And they have an adventure. And if you cast the adventure, you can play the land later as well, just like a normal adventure. So we just see here, the white one is Faith and Grief. 5 mana sorcery, return up to 2 artifact and or enchantment cards from your graveyard to your hand. This is pretty bad, honestly. That's not really an effect you really want on a card like this. So that's not very exciting. The blue one is 6 mana, Overture. Target opponent mills half her library, write it down. That one actually is kind of interesting. It's in a long control mirror. This can be a pretty interesting way to win the game. On a tap land, which is also good in a control mirror. So might even be a card you board in a control mirror because you want to make all your land drops anyway. That's kind of cool. The red one, I guess we're in alphabetical order here, but the red one is Mage Siege. 3 mana, make one of these wizards. And the fact that this is cheap is nice because it's hard to utilize the adventure on a 6 mana card, right? Where I'm trying to make this not just a modal spell where you actually use the land. So when it's cheap, you can play it on turn 3, turn 4, play a 3-drop, and then tap it. Is an instant as well, which is kind of cool. The 0-1 black wizard token is not that exciting, but again, this is a land, and, you know, you can go from there. The black one, Midgar City of Mako. Watch out!
It's a trap.
Is our trap card. This one looks kind of good. I feel like this one's been considered the best one of the bunch here because the spell is similar to Deadly Dispute. 3 mana, sacrifice artifact creature, draw 2 cards. It's a lot worse than that. Deadly Dispute is so good because it costs 2 mana and because it makes a treasure on your way out. So it can facilitate itself. 3 mana to sack an artifact creature and draw 2 is pretty bad. And those decks often use their mana in the early turns. So if a tap land is pretty bad too. So I think Midgar is pretty mid.
You know, I just do things.
But yeah, I think this card's going to be overplayed at first until folks realize they're just playing. Oh my god, it's a sorcery too? I thought it was an instant. I still thought it was bad. As a sorcery, it is heinous. Oh my god, this card's a piece of trash. All right.
Still a piece of garbage.
It's fine and limited, sure. A lot of value there. And constructive Vegas card's almost unplayable. I just don't think a deck playing Sacrifice Synergies would ever want a really bad land or a really bad sack spell. So there's that one. And then you got the green one, which is kind of nice actually. So it's a green tap land. It is 6 mana. Make a 1/1 hero token, and put a counter on it for each land you control. So effectively, this is like a tapped land or a 6 mana 6/6, which is good, honestly. You know, green is the one that most likely will be okay with there being a tap land. If you're ramping, you find something for the tap land, yada yada yada, and then you know, you play it later as a big idiot, so you're not flooding. That's cool. So this is pretty cool. It's town. Plays well with the bounce land also. That's kind of cool too. Bounce land is not in this set. It's in a prior set. But I'm just saying I love bounce lands. And yeah. Good stuff. I like this one. So this is probably, I think, the best of the bunch. And yeah. Good stuff. Also Spelunking's in green too. So I'm sorry. It's 7/7. My bad. So even better. 6 mana 7/7. Perfect. So that's it for Colorless. Our best in show is starting town. Our sleeper card is Buster Sword. Our trap card, Midgar City of Mako. And our Bombin Common is Blitzball. We have one section left, folks. And it is in booster packs. It is not in the set for constructed, but very important for limited. And very important for historic and timeless on Arena. It is the bonus sheet, which is kind of halfway between a bonus sheet and like a list or whatever. More on that in a bit. So look for that one. Like, comment, subscribe. Support the content. Go back and watch all the videos. Make sure you leave a like. A lot of work goes into the set review. Your support makes that possible, so don't let me down. All right? Hit the like button every time. Support the content. Let's do this.